Hello people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Minalkhona. We have started with a series of QuickBooks Online. You can view the previous videos wherein we have seen how to create a company on QuickBooks. You can use QuickBooks Online for writing accounts for several countries. We have also seen what are the features which you need to set up to write accounts. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. All right, today we are going to see how do you record an invoice in QuickBooks. Now, on my screen, I can directly see an option of add invoice. I can either click here and I can add an invoice here. Otherwise, to record transactions, I have a place on my left-hand side menu, New. Click on New, and here you're going to find all the vouchers which are required to record your transactions. Now, the first voucher which I'm going to explore today is invoice. Click on invoice. I could have also clicked here on add invoice, and this is the page which you're going to see. Now, you already know how to create customers by going up the features. Now, here I can see customer. If you have already created customers, I would already have pre-created customers, which I have created. And otherwise, I can click on add new. So if you have not created your customers already, you also have that option on the invoice. Let's select one of the customers. Here, I can give a customer email. I can also give several customer emails by putting a comma. And I can send invoices, meaning mail invoices at the time when I raise it, or I can also click on send later, meaning you're going to mail these invoices later. You can choose whether you want to CC it or BCC it. So that option is also available on the invoice. Now, billing address terms, these are already given while you are creating the customer. I can also edit it from here, and otherwise by default, whatever you have given as a billing address while creating the customer, you're going to see here. I also have an option to add new. So if I wish to add new or change, I can change from here. Now, invoice date and due date. Now, depending on what your terms of payment are, you are going to calculate, the system is automatically going to calculate the due date. Here I have the invoice number. So I can write down the invoice number. Now, a very important thing, you are recording a sales invoice. Now, is this exclusive of tax, inclusive of tax, or out of scope of tax? Now, here I'm writing accounts for India. So, is it exclusive of GST, inclusive of GST, or out of scope of GST? So that is what I'm going to consider here. So I'm saying exclusive of GST, so that the system calculates the GST amount. What is the product or service which I'm supplying? I can add new products. Otherwise, we have seen how to create inventory. So you can go ahead and create inventory. You can give a description of whatever inventory you're supplying. Here, I need to write down the quantity. So here, I'm going to give the quantity. Now, after quantity and rate, the amount is calculated. Here, I need to select the tax which is applicable. The very first thing when we started setting up the features, we have seen how to set up the taxes. The taxes needs to be set up because here, I cannot select CGST and SGST singular. I will have to have a group GST, which is an intrastate. Now, if this is an intrastate transaction, I'll have to choose intra, so that CGST and SGST 9% and 9% are calculated. And if I choose IGST, 18% of GST would be calculated. I'll just show you. If I just choose a single CGST here, I can see only 9% of CGST is calculated. If I click on IGST, 18% of IGST is calculated. And If I choose intra, if this is an intra-state transaction, the system has now calculated CGST 9% and SGST 9%. And in this way, the total with GST amount of the invoice would be 2,95,000. I also have an option to delete any row, or I can also add more lines. I can clear all the lines. I can add a subtotal if required. So right now I already have a subtotal added. Here, if I want to send some message on the invoice. So while you're mailing the invoice or printing the invoice, if you want to send some message, I can write down the message here. Message on the statement. Now, when you are mailing the invoice or printing the invoice, whatever message you have written here will not be printed on the invoice. Rather, when you are sending a customer statement, that is a debtor statement to the customer, whatever message is written here will be printed. So you need to understand the message which is written here will be printed on the invoice, and the message which you are seeing on the statement will not reflect on the invoice. While you're recording the invoice for your customer, if you have any documents which you need to attach, you can attach and keep a record of all the documents here. The maximum size is 20 MB. So at any point of time, you can come here and you can have all the documents saved here. All right. Now, apart from this, I have an option to print or preview. If I want to print this invoice, I can print this invoice, or I can also view, just preview it. Customizes in what format do you want your invoice to be seen. So now we have seen how the formats of customization would work. So how do you customize invoice formats? If you have not seen that, I have just done that in the previous video. You will find the link in the description box and you can go through it. Now, I can choose what format of invoice I require here. I can also edit the current invoice format. Save and close. I also have an option of save and new. Save and new would be if I want to continuously keep adding more invoices. Save and send, meaning save this entry and mail the invoice. I can also share a link, or I can WhatsApp the invoice link. All right, now I'm coming to a very interesting option, which is make recurring. Now, what is this make recurring? Suppose say there is a certain bill, invoice, or an entry transaction which you are recording regularly or every month. For example, say there's a certain expense which you are incurring every month of the same amount. In that case, I can make that transaction as make recurring. If I click on make recurring, I can create a template of make recurring, and I can tell the system that you need to post this transaction every month. I can give here the interval, so daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. In what form do you want this transaction to be posted automatically? On what day do you want it to be posted? What is the start date and what is the end date? If you're keeping it for a year, say your start date is 1st of January to 31st of December, every month on 1st, you want to post this entry. So I have this entry and I can save it as a template, and I can tell the system that you need to post this on a certain interval. So this is one of the very interesting options which you have in QuickBooks, which is recurring transaction. Right now, I'm going to say save and close. So here I need to give an email. All right. So the invoice is saved. All right. Now, after the invoice is saved, what if I want to go and view this invoice? Where can I view this invoice? So I can come to customers and leads. Click on customers. And here I can see Gorilla Industries Private Limited, the customer for which I have just recorded a transaction. I'm going to click on transaction list. And the minute I click on transaction list, here is a transaction which I have recorded. So this is the transaction which I have recorded. I can also filter it. So I can filter it by date. So say today. So today I have recorded this transaction. The status is open. Open would mean a new reference. I still have to receive payment against this invoice which I have recorded. Now, to receive payment, meaning to record receipt, I have to click on receive payment. Do I have any other option to record a receipt? So I can click on new and I have an option here, receive payment. So two options right now I can see. One is in the transaction bar and one is while I'm on the ledger of the party. I can also add new transactions from here. On the top here, I have an option to keep adding new transactions for this party. I can add an invoice, payment, sales receipt, credit note, and so on. Right now, I want to receive payment for this invoice. Now to receive payment for this invoice, click on receive payment. The minute you click on receive payment, you will be able to see the receipt voucher. Now your entry is bank account debit to sundry debtors account or accounts receivables account, right? Okay, so here is my payment date, customer name, email, find by the invoice number. Now I can see all the invoices which are reflecting here, which are outstanding. What is the method of payment? How did I receive the payment? So I'm saying by check. In reference number, I can give a check number. Deposit to. Now in deposit to, I can give the bank name. So you can create a bank. And if you already have a bank account created, you can choose that bank account. How much is the amount which is received? So here I have taken the full invoice value which is received, 2,95,000. And now this is interesting because here I can see all the outstanding transactions, all the invoices which I have raised for this party. Against which invoice am I receiving this payment? So I can choose here against which invoice am I receiving this payment. I can write a memo. The memo will not be printed. This is like a narration. So I can write a note here. Attachments. If I want to attach any scanned documents, I can save them here so that in future it would be easier for me to find something related to this transaction or related to this party. And done. If I click on clear payment, it will clear all the amounts and I'll have to rewrite the amounts. I can choose to rewrite the amounts against which I'm receiving, the bills against which I'm receiving the payment. And the entry is complete and I can say save and close. So look at the change in the ledger. So now I can see the change in the ledger. So one, I have the invoice and second, I have the payment. So now you see how easy QuickBooks is. I can raise invoices, I can record receipts. By being on the same voucher, I can also create parties. I can keep recording different transactions by being on a single screen. So this is about how do you record receipts and how do you record your invoices on QuickBooks. So we will be seeing the other transactions and other vouchers in the coming sessions. Do practice this. This is a very interesting software if you really understand how accounting works. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you.